What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Nice. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram, and I don't know, I screwed up the order of that.
Alrighty.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn One, Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings. We are heading into a holiday weekend, so we're on a little later than normal, but we're live and direct.
We're Brooklyn at! We're Brooklyn at! We're Brooklyn at!
Oh, wait, hold on.
And, oh.
Well, no, I left that one.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
There it is.
Okay, yeah, okay, there we go. I figured it was going to be some combination of that, but, yeah, so before I even get to it, I was going to mention this. First and foremost, shout out to Von Gloom and Benji Games 2 that are in the chat with us. Von Gloom says, we're here, we're nerds, and Agent 70 got the guns on display. I want to know if they're registered. and Benji Games 2, what's up to you, fellas? How's it going, good sir? Hadn't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. But yeah. But anyway, to continue on with the spiel, you can find this here podcast on the Coastal Leather Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Leather Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indubitably. Wait, New York law changed so you can carry guns now.
No.
That's on y'all, man. That's y'all. I don't know if you have to. You know what? Benji makes a good point. I don't know if you have to register those guns if he has an agent. I mean, hey, he's got a 00 license, so he's a license to thrill and kill. I don't know.
That's right. There you go.
So it works both ways. And actually, I was going to say, Von Gloom, are you going to the Duck Down anniversary? I'm probably going to have to cut this out, but what have I got to ask? Are you going to the Duck Down 30th anniversary Saturday? Which me and we just talked about it. I can't go. Too far away. But if you can, hey, put it in chat. Either way, folks, guess what? It is another week of this here fine show, and it is another week that has a show that we can talk about. And unfortunately, it's the end of the show?
Maybe.
Possibly not?
Maybe. So hopefully we're not spoiling anything for you guys.
Yeah, people probably be sleeping. Yeah, I get it. You work those crazy hours like I used to, sir. So I understand. I totally understand. Yeah, like you just said. Yeah, I know. Like I said, I used to work a similar shift, so I absolutely understand. But folks, we are going to talk about episodes 4 through 6 of Ironheart. Number 4 is called Bad Magic. Number 5 is called Karma's a Glitch, and 6 is called The Past is the Past.
So, Roddykat and I were talking about this in our pre-production meeting, and we hit a couple of bumps when it came to what to make of how the show ended, right? But as we head into the ultimate resolution of I guess the main plot points of the show, it does pick up speed in the second half of this kind of split 6-episode season, and I appreciated that. I definitely appreciated the you know, the humbling of the main character, the main protagonist, and having the protagonist have to come together and get a lot of support from her friends and family. You know, one of them one of the people that gets introduced in this is a real favorite of the people on this podcast right now.
Yep.
Especially if you have been keeping up with our reviews of things related to Strange Academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things released, one of the things that was introduced during this series was a couple of aspects of the magic corner of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, circling back to some of the Doctor Strange and Kamartaj stuff, but then also expanding upon it with the introduction of one Zelma Stanton. And it was very much a good translation of the character from page to screen. I really like, you know, you looked at her like, oh my God, it's Zelma come to life. And it's real, you know, it was done very well. I think, in my humble opinion, right? You know the acronym, right? In my humble opinion, I think that Zelma is the standout characterization here. I'm still not 100% on board with the Riri characterization here, because she does make some weird choices that, you know, don't necessarily jive with, for me, with the character's history in the comics thus far. But, you know, it's an adaptation, right? I'm constantly having to remind myself it's an adaptation. But the Zelma character, wow. You know, I was very impressed, you know, at how they were able to translate that character, the essence of that character, onto the screen, and with this performance and with the writing.
Agreed.
Up until the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene took a little bit away from that for me. You know, but overall, I thought this was strong. I liked the comic book fidelity that they kept with the new version of Riri's armor. You know, I wanted to ask Roddykat, and this is a good transition, what you thought about powering it with, how they chose to power it. I'll set it up so you can knock it down. The new armor.
Nice. Yeah, I would say that I am not surprised, because it's not like we haven't seen this fairly recently in the pages of an Iron Man book. Not necessarily in the same way, obviously, but in a magic infused armor, you know, or some liking of it was it has been around for a minute, so it's not that big of a surprise. I guess in what we have for the MCU, it makes sense. It's so therein lies that. Now, things that happen around the infusion of that armor is curious, and which also leading up to the end of the episode, and what potentially will happen next, if anything. Hopefully, like, you know.
Right. Did you think they jumped from A to Z really quickly? I was like, wait, we designed, you know, like, obviously magic energy is still energy. I get that, and at some point Riri has, you know, figure out how to harness it. I get we have to, you know, suspend our disbelief for this one, but I was like, what? You know, just you know, because it happened so quickly. But I stumbled on that. I don't know if you had the same issue.
No, because I do agree with you, it was kind of fast, but at the same time, we only had 6 episodes, and that was where I kind of put that there. I was like, you know what, you only got so much time to do things, so you kind of had to make a leap or two here and there. So I didn't really up on it because of that. If they had a couple more episodes ago, we would have seen this a little bit, you know, a little bit more, you know, divvied out a little bit more. But like I said,
yeah, like fleshed out a little bit, right?
Right. But since we only got, and this is just me speculating, I think they're just going off the fact that it was like, you know what, you've been here, you already know magic exists, and the thing is just putting, you know, A to B with this character and tying it in, which that's what Zelma was in there for. But also, going back to that part, I agree with you on the Zelma thing because they definitely did pretty like whoever did some writing, whoever did the writing for the character or whatnot, you know, and even I was the kind of the casting and the look and whatnot, they did a good job because like they kind of got the tone of her pretty well. Like obviously they did kind of make a couple of differences because if I remember correctly, when we met Zelma, she was straight up librarian and kind of got, you know, into the magic corner thanks to her dealings with one Stephen Strange. And so I can't remember if she had any.
No, she didn't. I don't think she had this kind of origin where she had all, you know. So, but that's again another way to get from A to B very quickly.
Right, because we know now she is in the comic books, but we know you and I know, and other people out there who've been reading know she did not start that way. So like they kind of hit that, which is fine. You know that wasn't a big deal because like once again 6 episodes, and also, you know, we love Zelma around here, so it's like, you know what that's a concession we can find, we can do well about.
Right, it's an adaptation. Always remember, exactly. You know, I'm always constantly reminding myself of that. So, exactly. You know, what did you think of the introduction of this long anticipated character?
Oh, I'm on record as saying I didn't like the casting from the beginning, but
it's not very nice.
Exactly. And actually, that address something in the chat real quick when I finish my point. But surprisingly, not terrible. Like there was him switching up accents, and which was also addressed in the show, was kind of a bit annoying to me. I'm like, and even like I said, they addressed that in the show. I was like, yeah, that kind of got to me. But at the same time, it's like, okay, finally, those people who've been wanting that fucking character for this long time can finally shut the fuck up. And excuse my language, but you know,
I'm usually the one dropping F-bombs left and right here. So
you know, but it's like every other show that has happened since WandaVision. They were like the character, even slightly before then, but still. And every show since then, it was like, is that sighting? Is that sighting? I'm like, okay, give it a rest. And now that character's here, so they can shut up. Von Gloom actually says, and I kind of agree with him. Not sure if Redacted was the best choice for the character because I watched too much of that show with the people know him on and can't unsee him as a buffoon. And I kind of agree with that. He also says Z definitely leveled up. Yeah. They rather see Idris Elba or someone else, but he's already. I mean, not that it's make that big, but he's kind of already in the system, as it were. Already. Well, he was already in the system. Excuse me. Who can pull off a charismatic and menacing at a drop of a dime? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but also I wouldn't want to see that though, honestly, for reasons. Maybe they are playing up the, you know, the hood thing. Maybe we don't know. I don't know. It was a curious choice with that post credit scene. I will say that, but it's also, it just makes me wonder what they're setting up, honestly, or where they're trying to set it up. Is it going to be another season?
So I'm glad that you took it there because we were dancing around that particular point with regards to the ending of the show as well as the post credit scene because I've listened to at least one podcast recapping this and the show and talking about the possible future because nothing's been announced that we know of that's going to be related to this. I don't know if they're waiting to do it either at San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con or somewhere in between to talk about where we go from here, or if we're just going to be waiting for FF to drop because there may be something there, either through FF or through what's dropping in the what's that?
Oh, post credit scene or something.
No. Yeah, there might be something that drops either in FF or what's dropping in the winter.
Vision Quest. You talking about?
No. There's some there's some not Eyes of Wakanda,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be
you know,
surprised.
yeah.
That might wait. Is that what I'm thinking of? Is what's dropping in the winter?
No, because that's in August. We'll talk about that later. But...
Oh wait, Wonder Man.
Oh, that's still slated for this year?
I believe so.
Then that could. I mean, well. Let's put it this way: if it's going to be another appearance of that character, that would be a likely choice. If that's the case, I mean, and I don't think they would have just gotten that character in here for just this one thing. So we know, clearly, but that would make sense if that is the case for the next appearance of that character. Makes total sense. Right. That being said, like I said, there's been rumblings of another Doctor Strange movie, but that one might have also been kind of more surrounding going back to the Wanda Well. But at the same time. Actually, something else I wanted to address because there's so many things to kind of address, but so much I don't want to address because of spoilers. Thing just came out, but the aging down of Zelma while keeping the magic part because they're good because of the whole Young Avengers thing. Not saying that she's probably going to be a part of that, but you expect that if that's the way they're going, then she might be in the mix for
that makes sense.
Reasons, so therefore making her. Keeping her young like the rest of those cats.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, putting Zelma in the mix there.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, show up if not, for whatever reason, just like not necessarily a Darcy type thing, but a similar situation. Also going back to like I said. Like you said, we don't know where they're going with this. Whether there's going to be a Doctor Strange movie that's part of that, or another season of Ironheart, we don't know. But it's weird curiosity. Now, actually, something else I wanted to do before I forget. There was something actually I did want to address before that kind of actually I stuck on with these 3 episodes, and is basically what happens in the last episode. And somebody mentioned something about the armor. I think that was you or something or other, but or it might have been Von Gloom. But Von Gloom said I guess they spent their budget on the armor, so that's why the Hood's monster form looked like 125th Street crackhead. I jokingly said they spent a good bit on the money on the 5th episode. The music they used in the 5th episode because there were some hits. that they pretty much saved for that particular episode for some odd reason. Stuff that most people who follow R&B and hip hop would know fairly easy as radio classics or radio hits anyway. So I was like, well, that's where the money went. That being said, not even the whole part. The armor is fine. And yeah, they got it kind of comic accurate outside of the color scheme, which I guess is kind of inverted. But it's magic influence. You can do it. There'll probably be there will most likely be a Marvel Legends figure on that armor coming sometime soon. The thing that kicked
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
it was mostly comic accurate, which is good. Mm-hmm. It's just not as obviously they can't make it as comic accurate because they can't make it as form fitting as it were. Right, because it's kind of based on the Stark armor. In terms of like it being an encasing thing as opposed to being like a form fitting thing. Right.
Also got some fairly comic accurate hair for Riri, actually, speaking of. So that was at the end of it because this whole time she'd been in cornrows, and then they poofed it out at the end. I'm like, okay, we see where they're going here. That being said, though, the last episode where we get to see the armor in action and where the armor was in action, and this is a slight spoiler, so apologize. That whole part kind of I bumped on that because like, okay. Again, also budgetary. You got to think about it. It's a show, so there are budgetary constraints going on here. But where that whole thing happened, and a couple of choices that were made, I'm sitting here like, why are you taking the elevator? You don't care about this place. Just go through the ceiling or through why did you come in or out?
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
It's like you came in the front door. You have an armor. Right. Just bust through that mug. You can get to the fight and get more fight out of it. But I don't know. But but also he had to go through that whole other thing. Before
Right.
that. But it was like,
Right.
I'm like, wait, why are we walking through this place? What are we doing?
Right. And you know what? And I get that, you know, there's a lot of repurposed metal here from a classic muscle car. Shout out to the Hemi Barracuda that was in the show.
Mhm.
But you know, I at least hope at some point that Riri is able to, you know, and obviously we all understand, you know, there's plenty of steel in that and whatnot, but you know, having a, you know, like let's just say that there's a big jump, I think, between one level of Iron Man armor from like the Mark 1 armor that he builds out of you know, spare missile parts.
Scraps in the cave. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, you know, with a box of scraps, you know, in a cave. You know, there's a big jump from that level of like protection and strength of the armor. You know, my hope is that there's something better down the road for Riri in terms of like the strength of the metal, the strength of the materials.
We would hope. Yeah, we would hope.
You know,
maybe the you know, the Wakanda connection will come back and be like, you know what? Hey, we can trust you. You can have this. You can have your old armor back or something. I don't know. Or here's some. It won't be here's some vibranium or something. But you know, something. I don't know. Or, I mean, we know adamantium is in the spot now, so maybe somehow, some way, she gets her hands on some adamantium for parts of it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That's a later problem, I suppose. It will definitely be curious as to how they solve that, because she's definitely not going to be able to stay in the magic armor. I mean, she could, but she probably shouldn't at a certain point, because that kind of would go away from the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there was a couple other things I kind of wanted to mention, but I don't remember right now, and I feel like it's probably getting into spoilery territory. But
right. I mean, do you think that this was a worthwhile like showing for the MCU and for the Disney Plus shows? You know, to make it just 6 episodes?
No, on that part, no, because I feel like they could have done more.
Mm-hmm.
But as we have seen, you know, I don't think the House of the Mouse, you know, is trying to give up too much money for such projects anymore. And even the Marvel folks, as they've been saying fairly recently, it was like they've been doing too much. So, you know,
despite how they're cracking down on password sharing, you know.
Right. So it's kind of a thing. There was like and this is just me speculating for me. It feels like to me you can tell the shows that they have the more confidence about over others, because they give them more episodes and
more of a push too.
More of a push and more of a budget, you know. So that whole thing is a consideration here as well, unfortunately. So now, that being said, it is a curious, like I said, it keeps going back to the fact that, hey, we don't know where this is going, whether it was intentionally like this because we were going to get another season, and maybe that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that is the case, excuse me. Because I feel like that would be really stupid to kind of leave the stuff hanging out there like that, like they did. Because clearly they have their plan. I would hype to think clearly they have a plan for where this is going, whether it be in somebody's movie, which that would probably be, you know, putting this as a side thing in somebody's movie would probably be not a great move, but we'll still watch it. But another season of this, you know, would probably be should be the logical place to go, I guess. Like I said, unless they're trying to tie it into the bigger thing, and like I said, it'll be like part of the next Doctor Strange movie or something like that, and they're going away from the stuff that they were going to, you know.
Right, or if they end up doing like a Champion / Young Avengers thing, so, you know, that might be how they tie that part of it all together.
Also possible. Yeah, also possible. All of that's still in the works. So
Right.
who's to know? Von Gloom says they could have deepened the loss of redacted character by giving us 2 or 3 more episodes. Yeah, what else was saying? 2 or 3 more episodes just in general. I think would have gone a long way for the show. I'm not saying what we got wasn't good, because what we got was actually fairly decent, and it doesn't really what I mean, what I how I feel about that, because people can think what they're going to think. But it's you got to kind of go into it with your own thought patterns anyway. But regardless, 2 or 3 more episodes, would help one way. Would help the whole show regardless, because just like we were just saying, it's like, there was a couple of things that kind of went a little fast, and we've seen that in other shows in the past for similar reasons. So you just kind of got to get yourself there. It's like, well, here's what they had to work with, so here's kind of how they had to handle that situation. But as far as the relationship between Riri and Natalie, I don't know. I feel like it was, for the most part, outside of kind of agreeing with that statement, I think they kind of set that one up fairly decent. But also coming in with knowledge of the characters, properly.
Right, we're ahead of the game. We're definitely ahead of the curve on that one. So.
Right, it would be to someone who probably doesn't have the knowledge to see to kind of feel that one out, to see if they kind of got enough out of that to know. Because I feel like they tried to set it up the best they could to kind of make it to where the relationship between them and everybody, and also real quick, family. Because that's going to be a thing we're going to say in a couple of other different times during the course of the show. And but yeah, like I said, it's all going in a circle. Yeah, it should have been a couple more episodes? Yes. Did we get them? No. Is there going to be any more out of this? We'll hope to see. That's all we can do right now, because we don't know anything at this point. That being said, though, Agent, you got any last points on this?
No, I'm good.
Okay, because we're going to move on, because we talked about this quite a while. I mean, granted, great.
Right.
And without getting spoiled, that was us. Let's see. Let me go ahead and get this set up. We are going to get into... It's worth a watch. I will say for that, if you are familiar with the character. If you're not familiar with the character, it could be. I mean, if you've definitely watched Wakanda Forever, I would say, sure, why not? And from what I heard, heard and saw online, apparently Wakanda Forever got a bump in views thanks to this show coming out. So, which that's kind of expected in series like this, because I'm pretty sure other shows around other movies kind of got similar bumps, or vice versa, got similar bumps. So that's always good to hear, because shows like this, already get 2 strikes against it for reasons. So the fact that people are kind of pressing the button and watching stuff and giving it views is great. Is always great. All right, folks, we're going to get into the books of the week, starting off with Blunk. Avengers number 28.
Why? Avengers 28. Avengers number 28 is written by Jed MacKay, with art by Andrea Broccardo. Colors are by Federico Blee, and letters are by VC's Corey Petit. And the reason why I say why is that, I get there are some parallels here. When we're talking about, what they're trying to do with one of the characters and trying to boost up their confidence, as it were, because the same thing happened to Steve Rogers at some point in his early Avengers run, where he lost some confidence, being, literally running next to gods and monsters and people in iron armor, et cetera, right? Mm-hmm. So what we get here is this particular time where Sam Wilson, Captain America, and Black Panther are able to at least hold it down and use all of their wits as well as strategy to get around a more powerful opponent and turn the tide and basically get or regain control of the Impossible City, and they're able to bring back their teammates who were outside of the city, and you know, basically I kind of you know you know, did the whole puking mock puking, as it were, when we get to that part at the end where they're trying to boost up Sam's ego, you know, like confidence, and I'm like, oh,
ashamed of yourself.
I'm like,
on.
oh, like really?
Wait. Sorry,
you
did
know,
say the creative team before.
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry, I must have blinked then.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Jed McKay, what are you doing here?
Okay,
you know. You know, but yeah, you know, like I said, you know, like you know, overall it's a nice introduction to you know, this current dynamic, you know, with hopefully Sam holding on to some aspects of this suit that he's got. I don't know how long it's going to last. We'll see if he carries it on into further and future appearances, because one, that's just another Marvel Legend that's going to be produced, and two, you know, it gives him an opportunity to, you know, kind of level up a little bit.
And I'm going to start with what I'm about to say with this.
Here, let me digress my bowels for a minute.
So yeah, so we're still in One World Under Doom. So that is still clear if you didn't see the bannering there. But we're at the end of the story, which is sets place between 3 and 4 of that event. So, you know, hey, we got the team up between Sam and T'Challa, who's starting to be bros a little bit more. That's great. There was a reference to Jarvis's run-in with the Mad Thinker, which was a funny callback from what I remember. Apparently, armor takeover is also going to be a thing from this week, given what we just talked about in this, in another book, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's this book. But regardless, this is the thing. We got Cap using a gun again. Another Cap, using a gun, because it rarely happens, but it happens. Except for that one time when it happened a lot. Yeah, we get a long overdue welcome to the team at the end of this. But the one thing I wanted to mention was a quote from one Sam Wilson that says, "But being an Avenger isn't about how hard you punch," which is true. So I'm just saying, there's many strengths of the team, and not all of them have to do with punching. So, just saying. Potential click of the week, not for what I just said, but for another interaction that happened during the course of the story, which was nice. But, you know, I guess also weirdly out of place, but I get why they did it there, because it was like, you know what, we gotta get away from this part so we can get back to whatever stories we got to do. And I didn't think they were even going to go back to that whole thing, but it makes sense. As Von Gloom say, the A on this costume doesn't stand for France. This is correct. Yes. That's another thing we've mentioned off and on here at times, which is funny. But yeah, that's, you know, it was a decent story. We're gonna apparently we're going to get back to the whole Kang and the whole, you know, hey, we got stuff for him to do, and the one big mysterious thing that has been here this whole volume that has to do with a moment in time, and apparently has to do with a Fantastic Four person, which we, as we said last week, we're going to see in other places. We didn't expect it to be here, but apparently that's going to be a thing next issue. So we shall see. That being the case, we can push on to the next book that we have in common, which is Batgirl number 9.
Batgirl number 9 is written by Tate Bromble, with art by Takeshi Miyazawa, who's back. Colors are by Mike Spicer, and letters are by Tom Napolitano. So we finally understand why Lady Shiva sent Cassandra to the Bronze Tiger, and bum bum bum, kind of a prototypical, standard setup. I was like, oh, guess what? It's your
Right. It's kind of a
family member. Okay.
Right. See, there you go. It's the theme for the night. But also, it is kind of one of those things like you kind of could have seen. I guess could have seen coming, but you wouldn't have known how to see this coming. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where does that sound? It was like, okay, she was looking. So basically, she went to Bronze Tiger because her mom sent her. She was looking for something, or she thought was something, and come to find out, yeah, she's got family. She's got more family than she thought. Now we just need to know how the hell did it happen, because the last issue, well, which basically kind of set this up, obviously, but kind of told a slightly different tale. Like it was definitely mostly set in the past and the history of the characters, put together. But I guess how did Abe go to sea? Because from what we saw in that last issue, they didn't really have that much to do with each other. The two characters and characters, which I'm not gonna spoil, but yeah, we didn't see them. We saw interaction, but not to that extent. So I assume that's the last piece of the puzzle that's going to come out of this. But first, 2 or 3 fights, but also the fights ahead, or at least one fight ahead, in the interim, because Cass got some folks after her for reasons. So, Von Gloom says her redacted will be an interesting character for sure. Yeah, for certain. Like I said, because I wasn't sure if this was an established character, and I was looking up the character, and I was looking at, weirdly enough, because I know Von Gloom knows of the Black Lords. Apparently, the Facebook page had also talked about this, that brought up the character, and during the course of the comics was talking about another character, in addition to every other thing comment sections usually do. But so I was like, okay, I don't know very much about, the half of these characters, and this was a new introduction for everybody, apparently, to this new Joker. But, go figure as to there are any similar characters still floating around out there that DC hasn't been using or won't use, or whatever the case may be. So it was kind of funny to learn that bit of information. Hopefully, again, I don't know. I'm on a very side note. So before I let just get whatever point that he has, I really hope that around San Diego Comic-Con that there's a code for DC Unlimited, because I would like to pay reduced money to get back in there to do some research on some of these characters. But I don't want to just do the thing that I did at first that bit me in the ass, and when that whole thing came out, which was such a great service. But anyway, but that being said, 87, you got something to say?
No, not. At the end of the issue, I found myself just kind of groaning. We're still, what the new character that's introduced in this issue, speaking like he is a relic of my time,
Right.
as a Gen Xer. So I'm like, whoa, how old are you?
Right.
But that's just me.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We've said this before about certain things. It's like, you know what? Why do they have these characters written unlike how you think they should be for the length of time they've been around? So it's always weird. Like you see older characters using young speech. I'm like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. It's not cool. Von Gloom says Brown's Tiger, along with Shiva and Richard Dragon, are supposed to be better than Batman and Sir Turtles Ham. That's not hard to be, but boom. But yeah, I guess so. They are of a time. So, actually, Canary also is in that camp, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll talk about that later. So, yeah, I don't know. Regardless. That was Batgirl number 9. Still, still interesting. Glad to see Tak Mizawa back on the arts. We'll see how interesting this new character ends up being and how much use they get out of it, which I hope is a good bit, because sometimes you get new characters and they're like they disappear. See Reed Richards' half sister, which we haven't seen hide nor hair of since the introduction that I remember. So, anywho's last book that we have in common is Bitterroot: The Next Movement, number 4 or 5.
Bitterroot: The Next Movement, number 4 or 5, is written by David F. Walker and Chuck Brown, with art by Sanford Green, with some I guess writing assists by Sanford Green as well, because they list them just as the creators, as opposed to delineating the roles that we presume that they have. Colors are by Matt Herms, and letters are by Hassan Otsmane El Hau. I think it's important to realize that this is set during a certain historical period, and is seen as a natural progression from the first Bitterroot series. And once you place that, you understand where the battle against the Jinnu is always ongoing. And, this is the penultimate issue in this miniseries. And, we're setting up for a big finale. What we get here is the payoff of the confrontation that's set up at the end of the last issue, but a lot of it is flashback to how we've gotten to this point with the progression of the Sangarai family. So, if I have any kind of issues with how they played that out, is that I guess that they jump to the history, and context lesson, and the mild exposition, kind of halfway through the setup for this, or the payoff, that is, of this of the confrontation that's teased at the end of the last issue. So, like I said, it's pretty well done. I'm not sure I agree with how they chose to pace this particular issue, because a lot of it could have been, done linearly, but listen, that's just the storytelling choice they made. So, it's just the storytelling choice they made. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I got a little thrown off by it, with the pacing. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's still pretty well told.
No, and I get that. Because you kind of wonder once again, like, what did they know they only had 5 issues to do this with, and they had to do with what they had? We don't know, or if that was the choice that they just went with, because that's they had to win.
I was definitely leaning towards choice, because it's their book,
right?
Yeah, so they know that this is the limitation, and obviously that's. I'm going to butcher the saying, right? Like limitation is is often what spurs creativity, right? So I'm guessing they made a choice when it came down to the storytelling about how to lay this out, and I feel like this would have been like the flashbacks, I think, just took me out of the story a little bit. But I understood, because obviously we have to set up how we get from these characters, and particularly a couple of relationships, how we get from the end of the previous the end of the previous series to the point where they're at now, like 30 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, yeah, I mean, you are right. It was definitely a choice was made from this. Like I said, but I'm not sure if that was just totally it, or is this is what they had to work with number of issues. I don't know. I more inclined to agree with you though in that, because like if they were seemed like to me if they were given some more books, I mean some more issues to do this with, and this is the choice they went with, then that was the choice they went with for whatever odd reasons we don't know without talking to them. Going back to the whole creator thing, you know, I've seen books do that where it's like the writer and the artist, because they created the core of the book, and they do that. It is slightly annoying sometimes, even though we know the functions that they probably served in this, because obviously, yeah, David F. Walker and Sam Green, they created the book together, you know, the characters and everything in the world and whatnot. So, which is cool. Great, but yeah, it was like I still kind of sometimes like to where it was like, okay, so, you know, did he actually do some writing on this, or is it just art? And he's, because of the fact that he created, you know, they are together in creating the world and brought in Chuck Brown,
Right, and the concept, right?
right, and the concept and everything that you know, they're just like, I don't know, just lump them all as the creator of this, because while technically true, you know. I don't understand why why sometimes they don't kind of, you know, why they do it like that. I'm actually curious. I'm like, sometimes it's just like, hey, you know what? This is our world, so it's just like, you know, there's no really need to separate the work from it. I don't know. Who's even know? It's neither here nor there. But or at least at this point until we've asked someone who has done that. Yeah, and I can see what Agent 70 said about the flashback thing, because yeah, you can see where it can kind of take you out of it, because there was a couple of times where it's like, wait, is this in the future, or is this in the, I mean, is this in the present? Or at least at the beginning of it, is this the present, or was this past? And turns out there was like, no, there's a panel here, panel there, and there's not. It wasn't too bad, but it is the thing that you can kind of bump on. Excuse me. That being said, though, yeah, so what we have here is like, you know, we're getting into the home stretch. We come to find out that, hey, there's you know, the problem's not going away and the problem's growing. We find this out, you know, during the course of the story and during the course of the flashbacks, and there, of course there's debate between the folks and the good Dr. Sylvester, who once bumped heads with them, who still continues to bump heads with them on the way things should be handled, and that's what we saw in the flashbacks. But we also see, and boy, I should have this, but I know Agent 70 has got me covered on that. We get that all too familiar thing of family, because that is also a thing that comes up during the course of this issue. Through everything else, like no matter what happens, family. But also, we find out in this particular issue, or we get a little bit more on the fact that, hey, you know, this whole Genu thing, no matter what we do, this whole Genu thing is spreading, and we kind of get a little bit more causes, and as it's part of the name implies, we get to kind of the root of the problem, or at least talk about it. But also, we also find out who has been a constant and continual problem in the handling of the situation. And as always, it's usually
The government.
so, yeah, no, as it tends to want to do. And we find out at the end of the issue that there's more trouble for the Sankrai because of a certain radio interlude that we've seen a couple of times during the course of this issue, and I don't know if there is anything that's going to be done about it or can be, but hey.
I mean, you know what it is, right? It's a
Conspiracy. A C-O-N conspiracy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, glad you got me on that one. So, you know, how will the Sangreys get out of this predicament, or what's going to be the solution in the next issue? We'll find out in the next issue. And that being the case, we are going to go into rapid fire.
alrighty, rapid fire review time, folks. Here we go. Get ready.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All right, I've got quite a few books up this week, so here we go. Amazing Spider-Man #7 is written by Joe Kelly, with pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Marcio Meniz and Eric Arciniega, and letters are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So this book is not a candidate for Click of the Week for me. Not. Right? There's a fun introduction, though, to a new character, right? This Hellgate that is featured on the cover. And, the character makes a cameo appearance in the first, in the previous issue, number 6, and makes a more full appearance in issue number 7. And my favorite part of this book is on the first page, where Black Cat and Spider-Man are confronting this Hellgate character, and Black Cat is nudging Spider-Man and asking him, "Spider sense check?" And Spidey basically says, "Nothing, nada, but my common sense is freaking out a little." I love that line. I laughed out loud at that line. Not a Spidey sense tingling, but my common sense is freaking out. So I get that. I got that. It was such a real line.
Nice.
Right? So, that's pretty much where, my enjoyment of the book kind of ended, because I don't really know where they're going with this Hellgate stuff. But it's just another chapter in the introduction of a new character who may or may not be a villain. We'll see how that plays out over the next arc, right? Next up is
wait. Before you go into the next one, we gotta bring up something. First off, shout out to Matt Wang 97, who's in the chat, who says Wang loves a CO conspiracy. And also says Agent 70 has an anti-click of the week. Did someone put Kalen's BEC?
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Ah, gotcha.
So, no, it's just that it's it was just not something that was let's just say Click of the Week potential, right? We tend to key in on books during the week that have potential to be, like kind of the top of the heap, and we'll get to them. Gotcha. Next up is
wait. One more time. Sorry, one more thing.
Sure.
Before we go into this.
Well, I was about to say the chat is hot and heavy right now.
A little bit. Let's see. Matt says just waiting for engine number 9 and getting ready for the long weekend. I hear you. Hope you and the fam have a good weekend. You drag if you're in town, drag Agent 70 out to that duck down thing Saturday. Von Gloom also says, what y'all think about the OG Gwen Stacy becoming an assassin with claws in a healing factory? We ain't got there yet, man. Well, I ain't got there yet. So I have no opinion of it at this moment.
Alrighty. Next up is Bring On the Bad Guys, Green Goblin #1. So, this is the next one shot dealing with the character that was introduced in to the MCU in Ironheart at the end of the series. We're not talking about Zelma Stanton, but we're talking about deals that this character makes with regards to some of these bad guys in the Marvel Comics universe. And the highlight of this one shot is the Green Goblin, and what is probably almost certainly retconned into the creation of the Green Goblin, and the factor this character may have played in the introduction. So, or the factors that this character may have contributed to the formation of this character, which is interesting because the character in his current guise, in his current iteration, seems to have moved long past this stage of the character the stage of the character that's being portrayed in this comic. So it's an interesting look back, as it were, and definitely, in my opinion, a retcon of what created or how this character was created. Next up is Captain America #1, brand new #1 issue. It's written by Chip Zdarsky. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Bring on the bad guys. Green Goblin #1. I did not do the credits because they are relatively lengthy. The first and main story is written by Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan, with art by Matteo Della Fonte. Colors are by Mattia Iacono, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. The backup story is written by Mark Guggenheim, with art by Michael Santamaria. Colors are by Dono Sanchez Almara, and letters are by VC's Travis Lanham. The backup story is the origin story of the Sister Sorrow character, who is an ongoing character that is, I think, introduced in the first, as I recall, was introduced in the first Bring On the Bad Guys one shot. So that she's probably going to be a recurring character moving forward throughout, tying these one shots together. Again, getting back to the next issue, Captain America #1 is written by Chip Zdarsky, with art by Valerio Schiti. Colors are by Frank Martin, and letters are by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So I spoke briefly to Roddykat in our pre-production meeting about this issue of Captain America, and the one thing that we knew coming in is that that it was going to be jarring. The book itself was going to be jarring. Why? Because they had already teased us that as part of the solicitation for this series and for this first issue, is that they would essentially update or redo when Captain America was thawed, it was thawed and like taken out of the ice and rescued by the Avengers, as it were. And at least up until 9/11, maybe a little bit post 9/11, we had always kind of operated with Captain America being defrosted according to like the rubber band continuity that Marvel has had in place for a little while, with him kind of slowly moving up past when he was originally defrosted, say like in the mid to let's say like the mid 60s, right? We move him past the Vietnam era, then we move him past the Vietnam era, then we move him past into like the mid 80s to the late 80s. Now we've definitely in the comics dealt with him being defrosted post 9/11. Now, at least from what I can kind of gather from what the context that is given in this issue right now, this #1 issue, is that Cap is now defrosted well into the 2000s. So we're talking about roughly approximately the same time that MCU Steve Rogers is thawed out as well. So that's it's a little jarring, right? When we're dealing with this, and we're also updating other related characters too, by moving that rubber band continuity up. There's some prominent guest stars in this issue, and we're also kind of moving up their origins, and pushing them later or into a more recent time period. So, once you kind of get over that little bit of shell shock, there's a fun reveal that, it's no surprise that the mantle of Captain America, for different publishing, reasons, has been passed down for real historical and kind of retconned into the Marvel universe because of they can. That's they retcon the character, right? So it's no surprise that there is an interesting twist into Cap being defrosted let's just say approximately 2008, 2009, we have a different take on the mantle being passed. And, I'm not even talking about what they're going to do here with Cap, and his first mission post defrosting, his first non-Avenger mission post defrosting. So, and what he intends to do as well is an interesting take on the character now. So I would recommend it. I think it's definitely a potential candidate for Click of the Week. I think I've got a stronger candidate later coming up in my list. Next up is Daredevil number 23. It's written by Saladin Ahmed with pencils by Carlos Nieto and Jose Luis Suarez. Inks are by Carlos Nieto and Oren Jr. Colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So this is another book that I don't think I would recommend as I would even say is a potential Click of the Week, because I feel like this run is pretty much out of gas. We know that the title's canceled, I believe, as of 25, so it's got 2 more issues to wrap up. I don't know if Saladin Ahmed had initially planned to take what was popular. Listen, it's not something new when we're talking about taking a concept that is proven to be popular in another either publication or another medium and trying to bring it into your story, but it's kind of off-putting for me, at least, to see Monster Fungus playing a role in Daredevil when we're coming fresh off of The Last of Us, right? And so to see that being introduced here, and being a part of the story here is, a little disappointing. Like I said, the story I think is run out of gas. I really enjoyed this book when it was, very much a take on what would happen if Matt Murdock actually took the whole, took vows. Let's just say took vows to take being a member of the Roman Catholic Church to that next level, right? And I really liked that kind of reincarnation, and to have there's someone writing on the screen.
Yeah, that's me. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Oh my gosh.
I will say though, Matt does mention how good the black armor looks. The Daredevil black armor. So.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm just disappointed that the story is taking this particular direction. And I know that we're leading into kind of wrapping up Saladin Ahmed's run. It's a good run, 25 issues, but not happy with how this last story's kind of played out. Next up is probably going to be a strong contender for Click of the Week for me, but we've got a couple of strong surprise contenders coming up after it. Immortal Thor number 25 is written by Al Ewing with art by Jan Basil-Dua and Justin Greenwood and Pasquale Ferry. It's an oversized issue with colors by Matt Hollingsworth and Romulo Fajardo, and letters are by VC's Joe Sabino. So we get the wrap to the Immortal Thor story, and we get Al Ewing's continuing saga with minor spoilers here. More of a remix of some of the classic Thor stories, right? I've talked before about how this Immortal Thor run, at least from my point of view, from my perspective, is very heavily influenced by what's come before it. And, specifically talking about the Simonson run on Thor. And one of the things that is going to happen in the next run of Thor is definitely heavily influenced by certain aspects of the Simonson run, but with a twist. And that's the best part of Al Ewing's run, is that there are all very interesting twists to to where he's deciding to take the story and how he's telling the story. And my favorite part of this Immortal Thor book is wrapping up how the magic and the mythology, how he's deciding to treat it and how he's deciding to interpret the verily how he's deciding to interpret how these myths are treated in today's day and age. I think is very, it just tells a very good story. And I'm on board for the next chapter of the Thor saga with Al Ewing and friends. So this is definitely a candidate for Click of the Week for me. Next up is Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider number 15. It's written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Yvonne Randall. The epilogue artist is Paolo Vianelli. Colors on this book are by Matt Miller, and letters are by VC's Ariana Marr. This is, believe it or not, another candidate for Click of the Week for me. Why? Because this is actually the last issue in this volume of Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider. And what I'll tell you is that I have not read a better wrap-up to a particular run of issues than this. Stephanie Phillips, I saw at the back of the book that they're going to be relaunching Spider-Gwen very soon. I don't recall exactly when, but I know that another number one is going to come out very soon. And what we're dealing with here is, in this issue, is the wrap up of a pretty MCU / TVA tie-in, right? Like Gwen has been very much this character that has been skirting the adaptation of the TVA into the Marvel Comics universe, and ultimately this issue serves as a reset, as it were, and setting off in a new direction. And I really liked what Stephanie Phillips did here in terms of setting the stage for a somewhat new direction. It's still kind of restoring things to a certain level of a status quo, but I like that, they took the time in the course of the issue to outline where this book is setting up the next volume of Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider. So, I really liked it. Definitely some fourth wall breaking here, which we know is not all that new. It's definitely a little bit more Deadpool-y than maybe you'd like, but it's not, off-putting, I don't think. So I would recommend this issue before you decide to jump into the next volume, just to see how it's all wrapped up and how we get from this volume to the next. Next up is X-Men number 19. It's written by Jed McKay with pencils by Netho Diaz, inks by Sean Parsons, colors by Fair Cifuentes Sujo, and letters are by VC's Clayton Cowles. So this is a little bit of a bottle issue, as it were, kind of a one and done. We're following up on Doug Ramsey, aka Revelation. Remember that happened with him being the heir of Apocalypse? I kind of don't either. So they do a good job. They do a good job of rehashing some of what happened in that Heir of Apocalypse miniseries and setting up what his current role is going to be in the pages of X-Men. And that's really what happens in this issue, right? There is, an ongoing threat from ONE, because, there's always an ongoing threat from ONE, because that actually leads us into X-Men Hellfire Vigil number 1, but I'll get to that in a hot second. But bottom line here is we finally get a little bit of payoff on that Heir of Apocalypse storyline. And we get to see how one of the bigger ramifications of the downfall of Krakoa may end up being what happens to Doug Ramsey. Always a bit player, but he was amplified a lot when the Krakoan era was at its height, and is even taken on a bigger role now as the quote-unquote heir of Apocalypse. So we'll see where they take this character moving forward. Now, speaking of moving forward from Krakoa, my last book and another candidate for Kliq of the Week is X-Men Hellfire Vigil #1. Now, prepare for this crazy credit reading here, because I'm going through it by page or page number. I'm grouping it by page number because that's how they group the credits in the book, and that's probably the best way to do it, because essentially what creative did here, what the editors did here, was to allow the creative teams for each of the respective X books, whether or not they've been recently canceled or not, to tell a brief story in this book, which is like the rough equivalent of the Hellfire Gala one-shots, which would be released right around this time in the summertime. This being kind of the send-off, the requiem, for the Hellfire Gala, and now it's the Hellfire Vigil, right? So here we go. Pages 1 through 5 were written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, with art by Javier Garron. Pages 6 to 8, 14 to 16, and 46 to 51 were written by Jed McKay, with pencils by Netho Diaz, inks by Sean Parsons. Pages 9 through 13 were written by Stephanie Phillips, with art by Roy Mercado. Pages 17 to 21 were written by Jeffrey Thorne and with art by Marcus Toe. Pages 22 to 26 were written by Gail Simone, with art by Luciano Vecchio. Pages 27 to 32 were written by Eve L. Ewing, with art by Federica Manson. Pages 33 to 34 were written by Alex Packnadel and art by Declan Shalvey. Pages 35 to 40 were written by Jason Liu and art by Sarah Pacelli. Pages 41 to 45 were written by Marewa Ayodele, with art by Luciano Vecchio. This book was colored by Fer Cifuentes Sujo, and the letters on this book were by VC's Travis Lanham. That was a mouthful. I got to take some water because, I had to do some spitting right there.
Yeah, I was about to say, I just counted them out on screen. It was like, what, 8 different sets of credits? Well, I mean...
Right. So, if you open up the book and you see how this is laid out, as I said, they're touching upon every aspect of the X corner of the Marvel Universe and how they're moving forward, in this era post Krakoa, and basically highlighting what's going to happen over the next several months, the next year, let's say. And it was fun. It was good to see all of these characters get a little bit of shine. There are plenty of characters who are on Krakoa that do not find themselves featured in any of the current or recent X-Men books, or anything in the X corner. Hopefully we'll see more of these characters moving forward over the next year, especially some of the characters who are in the clutches of ONE. The people over at ONE do make an appearance in this book. There's a tease there's a big tease of what's going to happen in the pages of Storm at the end of this issue. And I really liked how this book was laid out to touch upon so many aspects of the X corner of the Marvel Universe that, there's a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. when it comes to the Marvel universe, in terms of their publishing plan, in terms of how many books that they put out and eventually have to cancel within 5 issues, right? There's a lot of that, but it's always nice to see some follow up to what happened at the end of some of these books, like Forge and Sage's X-Force. And that's dealt with here in this Hellfire Vigil issue. So that's fun, at least for for a long time X-Men reader like myself. So that's it for me in terms of rapid fire reviews. Sorry that it took a little bit of time, a little bit of extra time for me this week.
That's all good. We were entertained. But I will, let's see, just get some of this chat out of the way. Said that. That was from some chat. Let's see. Am I drunk or is someone drawing on screen? Yeah, we already talked about that. Yes, Matt is the nerd father. We've established that well before now. When I would like to believe in the next couple of weeks we'll hear a little bit more about that next time we have him on. Revelation sounds like the 80s band that tours with Vanity and Prince. I said it was like, yeah, after Prince fires after Prince fires the Revolution, they went on their own. We don't do wrestling around here, but some people do. I can't speak on that. I don't know if Matt, what you said about that countdown show was actually the true, but that's funny. And I don't know. I was gonna ask you how good if that show was any good. Also, Matt was like, said, can you say the credits backwards?
Oh God!
So which I as you were going through it, I said, now we would need Zatanna for that. So Von Gloom says the redacted of Storm caused the rabid Black Panther fans to go crazy. I don't know what that means, and I guess I will have
right, because Roddykat didn't get to that, so
yeah. Saw a stream of Logan Better. Okay, so that's a whole thing right there. Von Gloom also says I forgot who Ransom was until after I read it. Yes, Bobby's cousin. So, yeah. Twitch, Ransom is one of those outlier X-Men, and I as far as I know, they brand new to the universe. In that, as far as I know, I don't remember, but because we had that question when we started reading Uncanny, and
right,
So, and God, I think it was actually Von Gloom who mentioned it for us. So, who that was. So there is like that. All right, for myself, I only got a couple of books, so this is not going to take long. First up, Absolute Green Lantern #4, written by Al Ewing, with art and colors by Janor Lindsay, letters by Lucas Gattoni. So they're still kind of doing the flip-flopping between the past and the present, but we're getting a lot more information about what's going on here, or at least in this particular issue, we've got a little bit more information about certain situations that is happening in this book. In fact, was pretty much all but spelled out halfway through this book by a character, but there are still other questions going on, and there's a mysterious, or at least mysterious to me, group that comes in at the end that is going to play a part of this. And apparently, as I say in my notes, somebody wants Hal Jordan to join Mos Def and Kweli's rap group because of something that happens, or something that was a conversation that was had at the beginning of the book. Still enjoying it. So this is Al Ewing, so it's got hooks, and I'm very curious to see where this is going. This is like the only Absolute book so far that I'm reading anyway. So to let that be what it is, I guess, until I catch up with Wonder Woman or the others. But so far this is slightly touching on a little bit of outside stuff, but it sounds like there's some machinations in the works going on here, judging by the people that coming in the end. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. Last for myself is Birds of Prey, number 23. Written by that's the wrong thing, Kelly Thompson, pencils by Sammy Basri, inks by Vincente Cifuentes, colors by Hi-Fi, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So, an attack on the birds' base scatters the remaining birds, and which gives them a moment with their thoughts until they get all back together and go after the folks that are after them. Apparently, Canary ponders time travel paradoxes thanks to something that happened in the books. And apparently, has a thing against Vince in true Indiana Jones style, or not necessarily Indiana Jones style, but she brings it up as such. And near the end of the book, we get a party happening based on everything that I just said, and bringing some folks from issues and arcs past back into play. So I don't know if that's signaling that this book is going to end anytime soon, or that was just a thing that is rounding out this arc. I'm kind of hoping it's the latter because I've been enjoying it. But, we shall see. Usually when something happens like that, it's kind of like, well, okay, if all these people are coming back into place, that must mean, it's about to wrap up. But we don't know. We shall see. Hopefully not. So, like I said, don't want the book to end. But that is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
Well, I said Avengers was one of them. Mine. Batgirl actually ended up being one of mine. And
Yeah, I've got a lot of potential, so I can help you stall if you're still thinking of yours.
Sure, go for it.
Because I definitely have, I have Cap is a good pick. Immortal Thor is a good pick. Spider-Gwen is a good pick, and the Hellfire Vigil is a good pick also. So I'm kind of hard pressed here to pick one, because I definitely enjoyed, despite having to read all those credits, I definitely enjoyed the Hellfire Vigil. I'm definitely happy with where Al Ewing decided to take Immortal Thor and how they're going to roll into the next, kind of volume of Thor, as it were. And like I said, I'm like low-key very happy with Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, number 15, because of how they wrapped up this particular run, this particular volume, ahead of them relaunching it yet again, right?
Right.
So I've got to come to a decision soon. But I'm still kind of waffling and hemming and hawing here. So if you need time, I can jibber jabber and talk about these.
No, I got it. I will say that just to mention, so didn't get a chance to read the Herculoids this week, even though we do have a copy of it. But I was like, I needed to catch up on the last couple of books issues, because I wasn't sure if I actually remember reading them or not. Because sometimes the book doesn't get to us in a timely fashion. Also, Godzilla Heist number 5. I know Agent 70 probably didn't get a chance to read that, but that might have shades of some things that's going to happen in the MonsterVerse. I don't know. Who's to say? Outside of that, though, this would normally signal the fact that, hey, the one that I have actually spelled out in my notes would probably be the one that gets it. And I think that's kind of where I'm going with this. But like I said, and I didn't get a chance to read the Hellfire Vigil, so I don't know. So I'm thinking I'm probably, just for the interest of time, I'm going to go with Avengers 28 for mine. Even though I did love, like I said, Absolute, Green Lantern, Batgirl, Birds of Prey, all good books, personally.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I will not choose that.
I was
Definitely not.
I was you too.
I think where I'm going with this one is, man, it's tough. It's tough. I read, there's a bunch of good books out this week. Specifically dealing with characters that I'm a fan of, and with the surprise edition of the Spider-Gwen book, I think I'm going to go with Immortal Thor number 25, but Captain America number 1 and X-Men Hellfire Vigil number 1, both close seconds, because those are really strong chapters in the stories of both of those sets of characters.
Okay. Yep. Sure. That makes sense for you. All right, folks. We are going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Alrighty, our first ad read of the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news is due about this time, so this will be brief because we talked about this. I think we brought it up last week. I don't remember, but the Punisher special presentation begins shooting next month, which would be this month actually, with Spoiler likely as the main villain and not the Spoiler, because that would be silly for Punisher to go against. But who's to say? So, Ronaldo, Marcus Green, and John Bernthal wrote the special, with the former set to direct. Now we have an update from some spot that apparently is another rumor site that said that mid-July through the first week of August in New York. If for you New Yorkers out there, yeah, don't mind that accent. So if y'all happen to come across, the where they're shooting things, smile for the camera, I guess. I don't know, or if they need some extras. Who's to say? But let's see. Following reports that this special presentation will feature a female crime boss. The site has learned that this is likely classic Punisher villain Ma Nucci.
Yeah.
So in the
Kanuchi, yeah.
Kanuchi, yeah, okay.
Or kind of you have to pronounce it like gnocchi, right?
Sure. But in the comics, Ma sets out to kill Frank after he murdered three of her sons, as well as using her connections in the NYPD to send the, quote, Punisher Task Force F to Frank. She dispatches the Russian to take him out. Not the Tracksuit Mafia, sadly. Bro.
Mm-hmm.
Bro. But anyway, so in this article kind of goes on from there. And, of course, the aforementioned Spider-Man Brand New Day, which actually, that reminds me of something I was going to mention for Ironheart. Apparently, she had her own Brand New Day, in a sense. So
in a sense, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the Punisher special presentation is eyeing a March 2026 release, with Spider-Man Brand New Day swinging into theaters on July 31st, 2026. I wonder why that would be the case. That's what we're talking about. Next up.
The things that make you say.
Alrighty, next up. Okay, so apparently Pedro Pascal had very nice things to share about Sarah Michelle Gellar during their time on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this is let's see here. Yeah, now I gotta read this thing. Right, so I guess this is a flashback to when he was on the show.
Yes.
Right, I didn't watch it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you hide nor hair about any of this. So basically, he has good things to say about Sarah Michelle Gellar. He says Sarah was amazing. She took good care of him as a younger, at an earlier point in his career. She taught him tricks of the trade in a way because it was one of the first on-camera jobs that he'd ever gotten. Okay.
Yeah, that's basically the thing, because I don't remember that episode either. So, well, I mean, I've watched the show. I don't remember the episode, period. So that's not even either, because you didn't watch. But regardless, interesting. It's kind of funny to hear where folks that are popular now, some of the earlier roles. Speaking of Ironheart, after Ironheart's debut, I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is back up on the Disney Plus charts following Ironheart's release earlier this month. So apparently, per some site, Wakanda Forever is 8th on Disney Plus's top 10 movies and TV shows charts that they have for some stupid reason. Because I guess Netflix does it too, so I know it's still a stupid reason. But regardless, jumping on a list topped by Ironheart. Let's see, also mentions Captain America: Brave New World, also still on that list after is on that list, because apparently that movie got a bump after people hit it on it in the movie theaters, but now are watching it and be like, oh, it's actually pretty good. Who'd have thunk, right? Next up.
Alrighty. Eyes of Wakanda sneak peek teases the Marvel country's many secrets and stunning animation, right? So this is, in the lead up to, I want to say it was in the lead up to Ironheart, they showed this sneak peek of Wakanda, of the Eyes of Wakanda, and it was pretty cool. And they talk about how Wakanda is a kingdom of many secrets. That's definitely what is teased here, and we'll see how many secrets they decide to at least touch upon, if not reveal, during the series.
Indeed. So yeah, and that is August 27th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, August 27th is when that's going to premiere. I'm going to assume they're just going to throw the whole thing out there with how many, because I can't remember how many episodes, because they didn't say one way or the other, though. So, either way, excuse me, pardon me, there's more editing. Vision Quest episode count and directors have been revealed. So the show will be written and directed by showrunner Terry Matalas, aka from Star Trek, to Star Trek Picard specifically in this case, as the last thing that we know him from, and 12 Monkeys and other things that he's done, but who will also be executive producing. And apparently some folks found out that there was something on Disney Plus that was on there about Vision Quest, and it seems it was posted through production designer Will Hugh Jones's website. He revealed that the Disney Plus show will have a total of 8 episodes. Although the Vision Quest section has already been deleted from this website because of probably Marvel snipers. Fans on social media were still able to take a screenshot of the show, as sins do, because things live on the internet. It was revealed that Metallus will be directing the episodes outside alongside Christopher J. Byrne and some other people whose names I have no idea. But apparently, according to this article, who are no strangers to the sci-fi genre. So there you go. Oh yeah, okay. Couple of these people worked with Metallus on 12 Monkeys, which I hear people like that show. So there you go. Next up.
Alrighty. Lucasfilm's updated Star Wars map lets you travel to the galaxy far, far away. Okay. Let's see. Oh, so you can look at how all the planets in the Star Wars universe are all connected, and see, I guess, the Kessel Run. I'm presuming it's highlighted.
Probably one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe major shipping lanes or something. Who knows? I'm not sure.
Yep. Because I'm looking at the line, at the pads here, So.
Right. I assume, yeah, like I said, I'm assuming those bigger lines are probably major lanes. So.
Yep.
In any case, hey, yeah, it's interesting. I haven't really actually, because it's an interactive map, so you can kind of go in there and beep boop around to things. So that's kind of cool that they did that, for whatever reason. But it's good to have. Next up, though. Same Von Gloom, same. I'll get to that in a minute. But the hardest part of filming these Star Wars prequel Andor for Diego Luna was trying to look 10 years younger the entire time. So this article basically was like, apparently Diego Luna, I don't know if he said this. But, here we go. Diego Luna recently spoke about getting into the mindset to finish Cassian's journey in Andor in season 2 and how he mentally prepared for those final episodes. Quote, "For me, it was very easy because I know the ending perfectly, as we kind of all do at this point. I worked hard on that ending long ago, so it was just about staying as young as possible so people would believe it was a prequel. What was the secret? A lot of water and eating healthy, and also finding a 10-year-old picture of himself, apparently."
There you go.
So, yeah, that was that.
I mean, it kind of helps that you're, in Hollywood 10 years ago. I'm sure there's plenty of pictures from that time, so.
Well, even that, or the show, or the show and the movie. But I mean, granted,
right.
They both are in a certain place, but yeah, what you said was absolutely right.
Yep.
Next up.
Alrighty. Next up, Star Wars actor Kenneth Cawley, who played Admiral Piet in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, has died at age 87 after contracting COVID and then developing pneumonia. It's very sad to hear. He died peacefully at his home in Kent in the UK on Monday after these complications. Yeah, I'm just reading through here. Yeah, so apparently he had been admitted to the hospital with an injured arm after a fall, but then contracted COVID in the hospital, which sucks.
Yeah, very much. And we're just hearing about it. That's the crazy part. But yeah, that's always sad. Also apparently he played the Jesus in Monty Python's Life of Brian, which is, it's all right movie. It's no Holy Grail, but it is what it is. But anyway, like I said, yeah, we were kind of having I'm not going to repeat the whole conversation that we were having in chat, but we was going back to that Buffy situation, and Matt said, who didn't have a crush on Willow? Yeah, you're right, but at the time you wouldn't have known it. And Von Gloom says, I was pissed when they killed Kendra. I was too. And Matt also mentions that he loved Eliza Dushku, and yeah, she had a moment. She had a moment. And I can't say I don't know if Wet did anything good for her, the video game, or that show that she ended up doing after that with old boy. But you know, she's in a better place now. Sounds like from what I hear, because she's out of the business and doing therapy. I think she's a therapist or something now. So good on her. Good looking therapist. Anyway, heard that good old JR from I think I might have heard that too. Heard that good old JR from wrestling died. I don't know where I heard that from, but I'm sure there's a bunch of wrestling folks I'll follow. So I don't know. I have to look back into that. Either way, next up, also we're still talking about deaths. As Agent 7 reminded me earlier, Michael Madsen died because I saw this earlier also before he mentioned it. But yeah, not comic book related, but you know, hey, as a fan of Heat and Reservoir Dogs in a little bit and Kill Bill. You know, sad news. 67, apparently. The news was confirmed by his managers, who said Michael Madsen was one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, who will be missed by many. This article goes through a lot of his credits, not mentioning Heat. Weird is weird. That seems an oversight. He's mentioning the Tarantino stuff, but not. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely crazy, NPR. Yeah, I'm calling you out. Yeah, I'm calling you out, NPR. God damn it. Heat is a fucking classic. Get with it. Anyway, next up. I am cursing way too much this episode. It's a holiday, folks. I'm blaming it on that. Next up.
Oh, God. I hate these stories. James Gunn reacts to fans thinking he cast Adria Arjona as Wonder Woman. He says, I didn't just follow her because the two previously worked together on the 2016 thriller, The Belko Experiment. So, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, but, you know, the internet takes things the way they take to. But in thinking of that prospect, potential, well, not a prospect because it's not even a thing. I wouldn't mind her as a Wonder Woman. Honestly, I would like to see how that would look.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? You know, hey, she's got the look. You know, not to coin that song, but hey. Anyway, Von Gloom says, "Oh yeah, the man was the 80s and 90s. Yeah, he was in a lot of stuff from then." And Matt says over 350 credits on IMDb. Yeah, Michael Madsen was not afraid to work. The man was in a lot of shit, including video games and stuff. Now, say what you will about his turns and said stuff. He was there. You know, he was a figure in those things. Mm-hmm. So, you know, rip. Next up though, Transformers Wild King, not Wild Kingdom. Y'all too young to remember that show. Mutual. Actually, I think they brought that back. Anyway, the official Takara Tomy YouTube channel has uploaded the 7th episode of the new Transformers Wild King anime. This is a completely new CGI series that will promote the new Transformers Wild King. I keep wanting to say Kingdom collection revealed some weeks ago. If you missed the first episodes, YouTube is a thing, folks. It's Japanese audio only as the YouTube lords intended. So, and apparently they're not going to spoil the thing. I might check this out because I totally forgot this was a thing. So, sure, why not? Next up, though.
Next up, Denis Villeneuve is directing the next Bond film for Amazon. Tanya Lapointe has also been tapped to executive produce the much anticipated feature. So this was announced by Amazon MGM. And, you know, this would be the first Bond movie since it obtained the property as part of its $8.45 billion acquisition of MGM back in 2021. Whoa. So, the new Bond project does not yet have a name, casting details, or a production timeline. But as I said, they did attach a production credit. So Tanya Lapointe is attached to produce.
So when you ask her if she's on Lapointe tip, You say,
Oh
all
no,
the time, Fife.
all the time.
Exactly.
Yep, all the time.
Next up we get into, hopefully she doesn't hear this and be like, really? Probably won't. We get into anime news. And actually slightly appropriate because, hey, we have just crossed, for those behind the scenes, we just crossed the 12 o'clock thing. So happy 4th of July, folks. Let's celebrate.
There you go.
Summer anime preview. So I was about to say summertime, because that song's been in my head a lot. Summer anime preview guide has been, which is sponsored by Crunchyroll, is up on there. So as tends to happen, hey, this is new stuff that's coming out for the summer, including at least before the show, previously mentioned Dan Da Dan. Let's see, we got nothing familiar, honestly, but a bunch of new stuff that or at least new to me. Let's see. Detectives These Days Are Crazy. Takopi's Original Sin. Private Tutor to the Duke's Daughter. There is... Catch us next time on Dragon Ball. Yes, indeed, Von Klum. The Water Magician, and a few more, and it looks like they have voice acting casts in here. There is a show that I just came across called, I think, Valkyrie's Kiss or something, right? Like that. I would not suggest looking it up, but the trailer that I saw was kind of wild. Wild. Anyway, I'll leave that to you if you want to do that. Don't blame me for it. I said don't look it up. Next up.
Alrighty, next up. Warner Brothers Japan has finally shared the first key visual and release window for a long-awaited remake of a Shonen Jump classic. A new anime based on the Fist of the North Star manga was initially announced in 2023 to celebrate the franchise's 40th anniversary. So Warner Brothers Japan finally delivered the long-awaited news about the series. The new Fist of the North Star is scheduled to premiere sometime in 2026. The key visual features lead protagonist Kenshiro crackling his knuckles with the words "anime coming in 2026" hanging above him. This was posted online on Twitter.
And also, I believe there is an anime convention going on as we speak.
In Cali, right?
I believe so, yes. That we will probably get some more news from in next week. You Are Already Dead. And also, where's Method Man? Because he, as he said, he's the true Fist of the North Star. So, look out for that. Oh, wait. Actually, yeah, anime. Wait, here we go. Anime Expo. There we go. And apparently there is a panel on... Well, yeah, I did say that. So that's, we were working it. July 5th. So if you are catching this show live tomorrow, room 408 AB, at looks like 120 to 220 Pacific or something. Looks like yes. So if you're there and catch that up, you can send us the news. There you go. Next up. Black Clover's anime is returning after 4 years, according to a report. So let's see. Black Clover officially wrapped up its anime run back in 2021 with 171 episodes. Not the longest one by far that I've seen. So apparently, as I've recently seen. So thanks to the anime ending on a massive cliffhanger before Asta and the Magic Knights fought against the Spade Kingdom, Black Clover fans have been anxiously waiting the day that the series will return for new episodes, and now it just seems like that might be happening. According to a new listing from Shueisha, as spotted on the Washington Journal manga page, Twitter account, apparently. Black Clover is returning for a new anime sequel. Little is revealed on it so far. And Wall Street Journal, sorry. I got my W's mixed up. But anyway, that's still weird though. It's going to be picking up right where it left off as a franchise. There was an update from earlier this week, and now we'll see if that is actually happening or if Wall Street Journal's blowing smoke up people's behinds. We shall see. Next up.
All right, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Infinity Castle, Part 1, Akaza's Return, will open in the largest number of Japanese theaters in the franchise's history when it premieres on July 18th, 2025. Let's see, tickets are already on sale now in Japan. And you can, obviously the trailers are out in, in Japan. Always have to remember it's going to come out first there. The release of this movie will not be in the United States until September 12th.
Mm-hmm. But we are getting it. Which signals the beginning of the end, folks. By the way.
This is the first of three movies that will finish the story.
Mm-hmm. Von Gloom says, who asked for that? Talking about the Black Clover. Who wanted to hear Asta screaming every damn episode? It's the same people who wants to hear Zenitsu scream every time he's on screen. Probably.
Mm-hmm.
There are people for that. I don't know. It's a thing. Anyway, next up. Cowboy Bebop fans can vibe in style with a new limited edition anime collection. So apparently some YouTuber in partnership with Crunchyroll is launching a clothing line, a limited edition clothing line based on Cowboy Bebop under the YouTuber's name. I really don't want to give it, but Ludwig Agren, because we don't want to do that. But still, under his entertainment company Mogul Moves, the unique anime apparel collection features original artwork from talented artists worldwide, included voice actress and also YouTuber Lily Pichu, and Chinese artist and illustrator Jian Q Yu. Two longtime fans of the anime space. Question: I'm a fan. When do I get to get a piece in there? I didn't think so. Anyway, the Cowboy Bebop collection not only mentions, you know what? I'm not gonna read that part. Regardless, you can see some examples if you're watching the video version, and you should sometime. There's a shirt. There's a hat. I don't know what that hat's supposed to be. Oh, I do know what the hat's supposed to be. There's a sweatshirt there. There's another shirt there. Of course, there's some Spike Spiegels on this in various places. Of course, there had to be an iron shirt because, goddammit, you better had socks. It seems, and pins because pins are hot, and that looks like a mat, not Matt Wang, but a mat for your keyboard or dice or something. So yeah, that's the thing, and apparently it's it's going to be at Anime Expo, which is this week. So no more news about that because this is all you're going to get about it. Next up, we're going to get into the comic book news.
All right. All right. So we have Saturday AM comes to Webtoon. So this is still kind of Manga Corner?
Yeah, kind of.
So Saturday AM, which publishes manga by creators of color from around the world, is teaming up with Webtoon to post its manga on the platform. The program will begin in the second half of 2025 and will include Clock Striker, a shonen story with a black female lead, Apple Black by Nigerian YouTuber Odunze Ogugo, about a powerful sorcerer, and Hammer, which features a boy who can turn his fist into a hammer. More titles will follow. The manga will be reformatted for Webtoon's vertical scroll. Okay.
Thank goodness it's not Hammerman.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. You remember that. Heads remember. Cartoon. Yeah. Based off, yes, Hammer. Anyway, but yeah, Clock Strikers, actually, I have that. I need to check that out again. That was what I saw of it was kind of fun. But next up, Bloom Studios hires 5 comic industry heavyweights to editorials team, and those folks are, interesting. Sarah Miller, Kiara Valdez, Taya Faulkner, Kwanzaa Osgeofor. I apologize if I butchered your name, but I know that name from somewhere. And Sebastian Gerner. So let's see. Those last three names will head up the adult imprint will head adult imprints Boom Studios and Archaea. Chiara Valdez joins special projects editor to lead the Kickstarter and fan engagement initiatives, and Sarah Miller is the editorial director for Boom Box and Kaboom imprints targeting young readers. So congrats to them folkses. Yeah. Next up.
All right, we got some sad news here. Jim Shooter, teenage comics writer who revolutionized Marvel as editor-in-chief, passed away the other day at the age of 73. He led Marvel from 1978 to 87 and oversaw the publishing of classic stories from Frank Miller on Daredevil and Chris Claremont and John Byrne on Uncanny X-Men. So, yeah, he died after a battle with esophageal cancer. He was 73. His death was announced Monday on Facebook by writer-editor Mark Waid and confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter by his son Benjamin Shooter. Yeah, this is a big one. I do have one regret. I did not get around to having Jim Shooter sign my Secret Wars issues. Because by the time I got around to having him catching his appearances at New York Comic Con, he was charging a pretty penny per signature. But I kind of regret now that I didn't just bite the bullet on that,
right,
and get him to sign that, because Secret Wars was huge for me.
Oh yeah, for me as well. I was about to say many an early of my run had Shooter as editor on them, that I can remember. So of Marvel books, I should say. But yeah, man. Honestly, I didn't know he was still around, but you never.
Oh
know.
yeah, no, he'd been making. What it is that he'd been making some appearances at New York Comic Con. That's generally where I saw him, and I was kind of hoping, that I'd eventually get it, but unfortunately not.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say maybe over the last 3 years he had been making appearances. Maybe over the last 5 years. So it's my fault for not trying to get it while the getting was good. But definitely sad news. He's obviously had some good, mostly good things, but definitely a few negative things said about him and written about him in his past. But definitely not that complicated a figure. Just there's definitely some definitely a pretty big legacy that he leaves behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this article starts off saying it was he was went from teenage writing prodigy to seminal but divisive editor-in-chief for Marvel in the 80s. So, and also fuck cancer.
Right.
As always. So yeah, and it goes through his history there, which you can read for yourself. Rest in peace, I think, yes. Next up, though, actually, this was supposed to be on last week's show, because when we recorded last week was 6/26, which apparently was Lilo and Stitch Day. Go figure, because that was I guess that was when the original Lilo and Stitch animated movie came out, and apparently people were celebrating or something. But guess what? Marvel is doing variant covers in September, just in time for said events. So yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can see said books that he's going to be on. There's Spidey, there's Avengers, Cap, Fantastic Four, X-Men, the hitters, as it were. So I'm sure you will see them again, if indeed I start doing variant covers again on the show. He's probably already gone, but Matt Wayne said, got to run and get some sleep. Thanos lives and make good decisions. Yeah, you're asking the wrong person for that last part there, buddy. But we appreciate it. Always glad to have you here. Also, Darkseid is. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Next up, though.
Alrighty, so we're in kind of the solicitations area of the show. Marvel has released details for their entire Ultimate Universe line out in October. The biggest shift for that line is that the Maker will be back. The Maker will quickly discover the universe he so meticulously crafted has been thrown wildly off course. So now there's hope in the universe. So a lot of these machinations seem to have, maybe not backfired, but we'll see how all that stuff plays out. So this is part of the September and October release plan. So,
yep, I still need to read that Incursion book. I totally forgot to check that out. But also I keep forgetting why the hell he left the Maker went in hibernation in the first place, but it probably doesn't matter. Franklin says Wolverine kind of looks creepy with the Abe Lincoln beard. Talking about this Ultimate Wolverine cover that I have up, and yeah. All right, next up, though, Peter Parker deals with being in an open relationship, in an open romantic relationship in Amazing Spider-Man #6, apparently. So let's see. Talk about Joe Kelly's run involving two main artists with a future story, I guess. Let's see. Apparently, Scott Hanna recently completed colon cancer treatment and is now cancer-free, according to Zarko. So that's great. That's awesome.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. Let's see. So and I guess that means he'll be returning to the book as inker. So where does this actually get into?
Right. So this is spoilers on the previous issue because we just did 7 today.
Right. So either way, you know what? I'm not even going to go into it, but okay. So is that whole deal with Shay, which I guess I kind of figured, because that whole thing was definitely not closed loop. So yeah, okay. I need to catch up on Spidey anyway, so it doesn't matter. Next up,
Doctor Doom has taken over the world, but the cosmic powers of the Marvel Universe will finally respond in God's One World Under Doom #1. So this is let's see. So this involves Wynn, the avatar of the so-called powers that be, will set out on a quest to uncover how to stop Doom for good in God's One World Under Doom #1, a new one-shot by writer Ryan North, who's also writing the main One World Under Doom event, and artist Francesco Mortarino. Okay.
It's kind of
This is the Hickman gods.
Right,
we're not talking about, we're not talking about all the other characters who are in the God pantheon, the separate pantheons of the Marvel Universe.
Right. So as I was saying, it's it's good to see gods getting some shine, because we still don't know what the hell that whole thing was about, and what that was supposed to what was supposed to become of it. But it's nice to see that they're still around and still getting used by other people outside of Hickman.
Right. Well, just to touch on that before we move on, I read somewhere, I don't remember if it was a Substack post or if it was an article, that Hickman, I think in an interview, said with regards to his Marvel work, that what he does is set up the ideas that things can branch off of. Right, for Marvel. When he's doing Marvel stuff, when he's creating things for Marvel, that's what his main job or his task is. So that seems to be what we've observed so far, and so we'll see if other people are able to take these, this God's concept, and run with it.
Right. I feel like we did. I feel like we talked about that within the last couple of weeks, because it was like we were talking about the fact that not gods aside, but he did the whole Krakoan era thing and Imperial, I guess more specific, more recently, and we're talking about that and the fact that he kind of does that stuff. But yeah, so that makes sense, Still,
no, but I think this was like the first time I had seen something explicit where he actually came out and said that.
Gotcha. 8 to 70. How about you take this one?
Alrighty.
Just cause.
Casetify turns AirPod Max headphones into Dragon Ball Scouter. Okay, I gotta open this article.
They used the often worn out joke also, so that's bad form, but still.
So the Dragon Ball franchise announced on June 19th that it's partnered with Hong Kong-based phone case and electronics accessory company Casetify for a new series of Dragon Ball smartphone cases and AirPods Max Scouter covers. Oh my god. That's wild. I know exactly who I need to send this to also. So, well, first off, he's, the Casetify is doing Dragon Ball phone cases. So, the 6 different phone cases for 6 different characters would be for Son Goku, Son Gohan, Vegeta, Frieza, Cell, Fat Majin Buu, and Gotenks. So, that's pretty cool. If you still need if you still need a case for your phone, if you want to replace the case for your phone. And let's see. The AirPods Max Scouter covers come in green and red lenses. Okay.
Maybe I'm the only one, but I was like, I count 7 cases, but I guess I get what they're saying.
What's that?
I said I'm counting 7 cases, but they're not. I'm not gonna. That's whatever. Those cases look good.
That's okay. Yeah, the cases look good, and they also have the Shenron cases.
Yeah.
And
they have
what's that?
I said that would probably be the one I would get if I were to get one of these, but I wouldn't.
Right. They also have multiple characters on a case, like a team up kind of a team shot that is
right
on some of these also. That's pretty cool.
One of them looks like
I'm definitely going to be sending this to someone I know right away.
Right. If Matt was around, I'm pretty sure he would say he would get you one of the Scouter cases.
I don't have I was about to say I don't have the main part about the Scouter case, which is the AirPod Max, the $500 headphones, which I can't justify. I just can't. Right. I have I'm a headphone fiend, as it were. I think Roddykat, I think he and I have talked about how many headphones I have for various situations, circumstances, and weather patterns, right? I have specific headphones for the types of weather we get here in the Northeast. But I cannot justify getting a pair of AirPod Max headphones. That's a lot. It's like 500 bills, yo.
And now I have to know something, because I feel like this is a New York thing. But Von Gloom, if you're still in the chat, how many headphones do you have? If just out of curiosity, I'm not saying it's specifically a New Yorker thing, but I feel like that's probably a thing. Let's be honest. And actually, it was probably good that you got this one, because you wouldn't have wanted this next one, folks. If you are into Magic the Gathering and Sonic the Hedgehog, well, guess what? The two are coming together in a secret lair drop. I honestly didn't expect this one, because I was actually talking to somebody who was like, "Well, wait, what other franchise, whatever, haven't they touched yet?" Didn't think about this one. So the Secret Lair Sonic the Hedgehog and Friends and Foes drop will include 7 new to Magic cards. These cards are Legal and Commander, Legacy, and Vintage. Not Standard? Wait a minute. What the hell? Okay. Anyway, non-void versions of this drop will be speeding into WPN Games stores for purchase on August 21st. So I guess that's cool. And I'm going to guess if they're doing this, like I think, and if you're watching the video version, you can see some of the cards right there. Oh, you know what? I didn't think about that, Von Gloom. But so you can see some of the cards right there. I assume the mechanics, if the mechanics are probably not going to come to Arena. I mean, the mechanics are probably going to come to Arena if there are new mechanics, but not the cards themselves, which is sad. But yeah, the art looks good, and it actually doesn't say here whether it's coming to Arena at all. But yeah, the secret drops. There are people don't like them, but they still get them, which is funny. But there's also another set called Sonic Turbo Gear Secret Lair, and there's another set of cards there. Actually, wait, there's 3 sets. There's a Chasing Adventure set. There's another set. I'm scrolling through that real quickly. So yeah, and all of them are $40 for foil and $30 for non-foil. Will I be getting any of these? I don't know. We'll see. Next up, though.
Alrighty, Batman Beyond returns after almost 25 years with a new futuristic Funko Pop collection. Good for you, Batman Beyond fans, of which I am one. So I'm pretty happy to see some love towards Batman Beyond in the Funko Pop area, sponsor of the show. So you get 3 figures in the new wave, including Terry McGinnis's Batman, Armored Bruce Wayne, and the villainous Blight. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And you get a maskless Chase variant of Terry McGinnis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good for those Batman Beyond fans. Von Gloom in the chat says 1 wireless. I guess that's talking about the AirPod Max case. Oh, you got that's how many you have. You only got 1. Man, you need to step your game up, mains.
Oh no!
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Von Gloom also says, "Hell, we have Thundercats and Powerpuff Girls. Yes, that is a crossover that is coming up very soon. Nothing is shocking anymore. Yeah, I suppose. But you say that, and watch we talk about something that will actually shock you. Just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. If you even got to go that far. Next up, though, pre-order alert: the McFarlane Toys DC Direct Page Punchers, Wonder Woman, and Superboy figures. And this looks to be the 90s Superboy figure specifically, which I don't know why I said that as if there was some sort of a difference. But yeah, so we got let's see. So yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can see the Superboy and Wonder Woman. It's not the it's a classic version of Wonder Woman, not the modern version. Let's see, you could go through the stuff that comes with it. I guess that is the comic book that comes with it. Let's see, they're going through that and the Wonder Woman stuff. And apparently, let's see, there's a Steve Trevor, 2 Superboys, and 2 Wonder Womans, I guess. Or if I'm reading that right or something. So yeah, there you go. And pre-orders are out there if you are interested in that. But we only got pictures of the Superboy and Wonder Woman's. So there you go. Next up.
All right, next up, some San Diego Comic-Con news. We've got a little bit of a sneak peek of the Beast Kingdom San Diego Comic-Con 2025 exclusives. So we get a look at their exclusives, which will be, they're actually on sale now in a limited online pre-sale from July 3rd through July 13th. There are a Superman limited edition for $60. This is it looks like kind of a Kingdom Come look. I can't tell by the temples of his hair, but from the S symbol, that's definitely it looks like it's a Kingdom Come influenced character as well as figure, as well as some of the posing here. Next, we have a Batman limited edition for $60, inspired by the golden age of Batman, with the lighter blue costume, gray costume, and yellow bat symbol and yellow utility belt, kind of the Batman I grew up with. Next up is the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf the White, for $150. Gandalf! And last, we have Batman Returns, the Penguin. This is Danny DeVito's Oswald Cobblepot for $120.
Wow. Yeah, that Gandalf looks pretty good though. Also, this Batman looks like he's pointing at somebody in the ring, like he's about to jump in the ring after somebody. Which I'm pretty sure somebody's done that on WWE at some point. Anyway, cool beans. And you will be able to check that out at San Diego Comic-Con for those that might be in the area. But also, Oh no, yeah, there are also limited online pre-sales according to this, starting actually yesterday. There you go. Next up, though, Takari told me C1 Missing Link Convoy is being reissued. That's the Optimus Prime, if you weren't familiar. But let's see, the popular modern update of the classic G1 Convoy / Optimus Prime. I love how they did Convoy first and not Optimus Prime first, like we're not in America. Anyway, now featuring modern articulation, we'll get a new run by popular demand. Pre-orders started also yesterday in Japan. This is a toy-accurate version, which includes his trailer, as it should. So here's a new chance to get a Prime if you ain't got one. There you go. Next up.
Alrighty.
Let me go ahead and take this one.
Sure.
So it's another Transformers figure. Actually, this is one I've been actually looking into getting. If you're a fan of Monster Hunter and Transformers, hey, there is the Transformers Monster Hunter collaboration Rathalos Prime figure. Which, if you didn't know, Rathalos is one of the mainstay monsters of the Monster Hunter franchise. And yeah, they made a figure out of him. Apparently, it is retailing for $50 with a ship date of October 2025. And I could have sworn I saw actually, I might need to see if I actually still have a pre-order for that, because I could have sworn I pre-ordered this on Amazon a while back. But we shall see. I don't know. Before we go into the next one, though, let's see. Von Gloom says Hello Kitty and Hellboy is the next collaboration. Wouldn't be surprised. Connor Kent in his original fit minus the jacket. That's what that was. Talking about that Superboy figure from a couple of articles back. And now the next article is.
1 second. Bandai reveals its first ever Transforming Gundam release in major Robot Spirits update. Okay, so this is a release of the line's first Transforming Gundam. Per Essential Japan, Bandai's Robot Spirits version anime line of action figures is set to make history with the release of the NRX-044 Ashimar figure based on the dual form mobile armor of the same class from Mobile Suit Z Gundam. The NRX-044 Ashimar figure stands as the very first transformable figure in the brand's line, capable of easily shifting between its mobile suit mode, a special takeoff mode, and its mobile armor mode, the latter of which resembles a flying saucer. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's probably a fairly easy transform. Not Wing Zero? Come on, Bandai, get it together. Actually, there are really not that many transforming mechs in transforming Gundams in that thing, so I guess you got to do one. Because I was thinking, I was like, why a Golf? But a Golf doesn't transform either. Anyway, rambling. Next up, Cobra's Destro arrives with new Iron Studios G.I. Joe 1/10 statue. Excuse me, not figure, statue. Please. Don't come at me. It says statue right there. Let's see. So it's a 1/10 scale. It's a limited edition that highlights Destro's mask, a gold gun, and signature suit, aka chest is out, I'm sure. Or Iron Chest is out. I don't know. Destro is a weird figure, a weird character. Because how the hell does his mouth move when he's got an iron mask? Anyway, let's see. Pre-orders are live. It's $200. If you were watching the video version, you can see said figure. Actually, not bad looking figure at that. Got his Money in the Bank briefcase. Yes, I do know about the Money in the Bank. And his gun. But that's a lot of monies. Next up, though. Oh, and it stands 8.4 inches tall, in case you're wondering. Next up.
And last up. Cold Slither, the villainous metal band from the OG G.I. Joe series, is coming to life at San Diego Comic-Con. Not just in classified form, not just in Marvel Legends scale G.I. Joe classified form. Let's see here. So the villainous metal band Cold Slither, whose music was laden with subliminal messages from terrorist organization Cobra, is coming to life for the first time. On July 24th at San Diego's Brick by Brick, Cold Slither will take the stage for a one-night only show presented by Hasbro and Reigning Phoenix Music. The evil, but honestly kind of doltish band of swamp mercenaries working for Cobra Commander will be brought to life by Gus Rios for portraying Zartan, Ross Sewage portraying Torch, Matt Harvey portraying Ripper, and Andy Selway portraying Buzzer. The day after the concert, Friday, July 25th, Cold Slither's debut album will drop. It features the Cold Slither song that appeared in the December 2nd, 1985 episode of the series that introduced the band, as well as 9 additional tracks, including Thunder Machine, which debuts today, which debuted already, that is, June 3rd. You can pre-order the debut album. It's already on Spotify.
Yes.
So
shout out to Fine Gloom.
you can stream there.
Yeah. I would love to see this play out, honestly. But as we have said before, the one song that you're trying to get out of a group such as that is the title
Right.
of the track. And from what we heard from that track itself, it's a reasonable facsimile, but yeah. I like that they're doing it though. And apparently these people in these bands are in some actual bands, like I guess some known metal bands or something. I don't freaking know. But a whole ass album of Cold Slither stuff. When you, again, we only had the one during the whole course of G.I. Joe's original run. One. And it's the one. So the whole thing is funny, but I appreciate it that it's happening. It's probably never going to compare, but I would still want to see this. I really hope there's some video come out of this some kind of way.
We'll see if we can't get in there live. So
I would hope so. I'm sure we know someone who probably has the connects. But yeah, as Von Gloom says, and I was actually going to say a band of vipers, and you'll be joining us soon, and we'll probably hear those words again at the end of the show.
Oh yeah, yeah. Listen, and we all know that if it wasn't for the concept of Cold Slither, none of our podcasting would have ever happened.
It's true. We probably could have had a very, very different name with a very different vibe. Well, we wouldn't have had a very different vibe, but the network as a whole probably would have, whatever that is at this point.
Right. Right. It's evolved over time, but when it started, we all know where it came from.
And it's wild that we're still the mainstays on said network, but that's funny. Kind of makes you want to go listen to some old Cold Slither episodes, man. Those were the days. All right, folks, and that's it for the news section. We will, you know what? If we get any more news or any updates from this, come that time. Oh, also, I think you said it before. There's the album. We got the track listing and what other stuff that are gonna be coming out of that after the fact. Still weird. Anyway, into the news. That's it, folks. We're gonna get one last ad read.
Right, we've got our last ad read, and then we're going to talk about our upcoming schedules, which get a little tricky because July is a pretty busy month for the Comic Book Chronicles. Our last ad read: keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
I forgot to mention some Von Gloom said Wrist Rockets 2. Yes, that is true. That comes with a Destro, and also This is a must get Destro. If you got that kind of scratch, man, you know, hook me up.
Yeah, I was about to say I need to look at that now, but that's pretty cool that it's a must get.
It looks good. Like I said, yeah, it looks very good, very detailed as one would expect for that kind of money. But it's also a statue. It's not, you know, a figure. So, but at the same time, still a great looking figure. So I'm not trying to knock it.
Oh, it's a full body. It's not like a bust or anything. Wow, it is pretty cool.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's really a really nice looking figure, statue. But folks, like Agent 70 said before we did the ad read, yes. So let's get this out of the way. Next couple of weeks is going to be kind of interesting because Superman's next week, so we'll probably be on Movie Protocol for that. And then the week after that, I guess I'll leave it.
Well, no, we'll be all right for the week after that. It's the week after that, right? So it's kind of staggered, right? So this upcoming week will be Superman Movie Protocol, and then after that, you know, like we should be able to record. It just won't be our regular designated time and date. After that, we have, I think, our only regular week for the next few weeks, because the week after that is San Diego Comic-Con, and some of us will be traveling for that week. And then the week after, we have some other stuff popping up on the schedule, so we'll have to postpone recording for that week, at least for a few days. So we won't be gathering at our normal dates and times. However tardy we often are when it comes to recording on our regular date, of Thursday evenings. But at the end of the day, just stick with us, folks. We've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about here over the next several weeks.
Also, Fantastic Four will be is going to be in.
Well, yeah, I threw that in there. The only reason why I didn't mention Fantastic Four is that because of travel, I'm not sure exactly when I'll be able to get that in, but hopefully soon after, or right around the time it gets released.
Right. So yeah, like I said, the rest of the July going to be a hot month, and not just because of the weather. So yeah, like I said, stay tuned. We'll be here if there will definitely be streams. There will definitely be shows also. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But that being the case, like I said, we'll keep pros up to date on that, and of course our socials. You can follow is as follows. I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. Von Glumbo yet? No, I'm just kidding. You out there? You're out there, friend. And I don't even remember your thing, but you're a friend of the show, so we appreciate you. But you can find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast SoundCloud paid. Yes, the Coastal of the Podcast SoundCloud paid, but also you can find us recording mostly every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern, or more so closer to 10. Let's be honest. On YouTube.com/The Kliq Nation and Twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to like and subscribe and hit us up. Leave those 5-star reviews. Hit that notification button so you know when we're on live.
But how could I use that knowledge to work for me?
Oh no.
I was trying to figure out a place to fit that in somewhere, and it just wasn't working. So there you go. But later days, Von Gloom, as you said in the chat, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
I love it when a plan comes together.